What's up guys, hope you're good. So I'm bringing you a different type of video today. We're going to talk through supplementation. So essentially going through what I take, what supplements I take during off-season, prepping, currently dieting. Of course, if you watched my previous video, prep vlog, which I'm probably going to put somewhere here, prep vlog 1, where I told you through what I'm doing at the moment in my prep. And obviously I thought, let's go through supplementation, kind of what I take, as I have a few clients ask me these questions on Instagram as well, and people ask me what do I take as well. So I thought I'd go through it all so you know what I have, and also some things that may be beneficial for you as well. But of course, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not telling you to take any of these. I'm just saying what I take. So just making that clear. I'm not telling you to take any of this stuff. So yeah, cool. Let's get to it. These are the main things that I take. My supplementations. I've been taking these pretty much for, well, majority of these for a long time. Some of them like years, some of them in the off season, and some new ones since starting prep as well. So essentially I go start with the protein, of course. So vegan, I have vegan protein because personally myself, I can't have milk. So I have a vegan substitute protein for me because that works best for me. Obviously, as we know, protein powder, very, very simple. Obviously most people take this stuff, you know, so this is what we're looking at, a Protein Works one, and this is essentially what I normally take. This is good for, of course, recovery. So recovery, building muscle as well, helps you recovery, building muscle, and generally just hitting your protein goal daily as well. So obviously that can be quite hard for, especially for some individuals, I find, to hit their protein target. So this makes your life a bit easier. You don't have to worry about that at all. And yeah, just makes your life easier. Essentially that's the main reason for it. Makes your life a little bit easier, especially when you're in a diet where protein's quite high to retain muscle. Then having a lot of protein means a lot of food, and I find it's too much. Unless you get deep into the diet, then maybe you may want to start getting rid of this, start substituting for more food, or more meat to say, because you will want more food. But currently I'm fine, and in the off season definitely don't want to eat more food. I'd just rather stick to more protein based powders. Then the other ones I take is obviously creatine, right? You've probably all heard of creatine before. This is the creatine. As you can see, Perform is what the one I take. I take Perform creatine. It's one I've taken for a very long time now. Works best for my stomach personally, just feels better for me. Some people get upset stomach from it, so I find Perform works best for me. This is going to help you with building muscle and gaining strength in the gym. And creatine essentially increases your ATP, essentially energy, gives you more energy in your body. This allows you to train harder, get stronger in the gym, and then obviously build more muscle, okay? So that's essentially what it does. It's very beneficial for everyone. Personally, I take it, and there's a lot of studies that, you know, say that it's not good, but it's fine, perfectly fine. You can take it, no stress. I take about 5 grams a day, and that is what I take and what I've been taking for ages now. So 5 grams a day of this, and it does the job perfectly. It's also found in meat as well, red meat, but the amount of red meat you have to eat to get 5 grams of creatine is impossible. So supplementing it makes complete sense. Our body also already has creatine in it as well, alongside the meat. So yeah, it's safe. So we've got here the pre-workouts here. We've got the non-stimulant ones. So personally I take non-stim, as you can see here. Non-stim, Innova Farm, pump formula. This is what I take, okay? So this is my go-to. So personally I like to not have too much caffeine, especially when I'm eating a lot of food in the off season. So I stick to this, it feels best for me. Personally, I think it gives me a great pump. I feel great on this as well. And it's one of the best non-stim pre-workouts I've had, hands down, for sure. My go-to. There's also another one here. This isn't the same, it's similar. It's a pumpage one from Jordan Peters, essentially, so trained by JP. And this one is an Iron Brew one. This is also good as well, but my go-to is always going to be Innova Farms for sure. Okay, so this is what I have pretty much on my training days. Sometimes I mix in a little bit of caffeine, but not that much, especially not at the moment. Energy levels are perfectly fine. But these two are both very good, but I would prefer this one personally. Tastes great as well. So that's my go-to with training. Yeah, so also you can also then add in, of course, the most common drink around for all lifters and bodybuilders, of course, it's going to be a white monster, of course, right? So the known drink amongst all lifters and generally most people, white monster, right? Most popular. So obviously this is just going to be some for caffeine, essentially. Yes, there's a couple of things in it like taurine and stuff like that, but realistically it's more for the caffeine kick. That's why you're having it, right? So this is obviously going to be beneficial. Again, caffeine is good for energy source, right? It's an energy source when you're training. It's going to increase your focus, increase your energy for the training, especially if you've had a long day. So after, let's say, you're working or you're struggling in a diet with energy levels. So this is what's going to be key, to have some form of caffeine, like even just a coffee. Like, you know, have a black coffee, it's perfectly fine. But I had one of these lying around, so I thought I'd show this one off, of course. So yeah, any form of coffee, caffeine, could be any type, will do the job as well in terms of helping you train better, more focus, more energy as well. I mean, you should have a better session. So especially if you're deep into a diet, I find that caffeine really helps you because energy levels are low, food is low as well. So obviously having, for example, a pump formula and caffeine together, or just a caffeine or a sodium formula, is going to help you tenfold. Okay, so it's really going to be beneficial in terms of pushing hard when you're fatigued or tired or so. Then we're going to come to the more joint and inflammation stuff. So we've got here, so these two here, we've got turmeric, what I take essentially. So it's just turmeric, and this is beneficial. It's an anti-inflammatory. Okay, it's natural. Obviously turmeric is a natural product. It is an anti-inflammatory. It has anti-inflammatory properties, which means that it's going to help you with joint soreness, muscle soreness, in terms of inflammatory issues. Yeah, I find it very beneficial. I use it every day. I've been using it for a long time now, and especially when you're pushing quite hard in training, or you're pushing your body quite hard as well, I find it's very beneficial in that sense, because yeah, it can get rid of that inflammatory issues that can come with training hard or pushing your body quite hard as well. And there is a natural product as well, so I find it to be good that way. I've been taking that for a long time as well, and I find that beneficial myself. Glucosamine as well, another product that is already found in our body. Well, turmeric's not found in our body, of course, but glucosamine is. We already produce glucosamine, and it's already in our body, and this is just going to top it up essentially. Okay, so essentially going to top it up. This is good for joint health and keeping them healthy, stronger, making sure that things are in a good place, right? Again, when you're pushing hard with your training, lifting heavy weights, you want to make sure that there's no issues, right? So, or less issues in terms of pushing hard, because obviously when you're pushing your body pretty hard, there's going to be times where it's going to get quite fatigued and put more pressure on the joints. And that's when you want the joints to be strong and not cause any issues. So this is going to keep them safer essentially, and you'll be in a better place. So I've been taking that again for a long time. I take 2 of those a day. That's the recommendation. And I take one of these a day as well. So yeah, so this is essentially 2 of them is 1,500 glucosamine sulfate, and that's essentially what I take. Then we're coming over to the multivitamins. So this is essentially, you can see it focuses. This is a multivitamin, so it's just going to make essentially your life a bit easier in terms of hitting your vitamins for the day. It's not going to be something that you're just going to have that and you're set. You need to have that with your fruit, your veg, your foods that contain other vitamins. Okay, so it's not going to be quite enough for the whole day. Right, so you can't just have this and I'm done for the day. You need to be having your veg and your fruits alongside that as well. It's just a little, basically a bonus, a little kick to get it a little bit higher. I have been having that for years, so yeah, I've kept it in. I think it does good, because just to make sure everything is at a good base level. And then we're coming over to vitamin D. So obviously there is some vitamin D in the multivitamin, of course, but there's probably not going to be enough in your multivitamin. Okay, so some of them may not have enough, some of them will. Some of them do, some of them don't, but this is just a little top up, because especially if you live in the UK itself, it's going to be awful weather most of the time and there's barely any sun. So there's no harm in having extra vitamin D, because you're probably not getting enough. So yeah, that's one thing we probably lack here, living in the UK, because the weather is always god awful and it's raining and there's barely any sun. So having this will make sure you actually get your correct amount of vitamin D per day. So don't want any issues with that, of course. And essentially it's beneficial for growth in the body, beneficial in your bones growth and your teeth growth. So essentially just keeping things healthy. So that's why vitamin D is so important, and yeah, it's essential. So coming over to omega-3. So omega-3 is recently one I put back in. So one I wasn't having for a little while, but now it's back in, and yeah, also key as well, because most don't get enough. So you get it from obviously salmon, nuts, fatty acid foods essentially. So foods that have a fattier content, and especially obviously if you're in a diet, you're probably not going to have those foods as much, just because of the calorie denseness of them. For example, salmon is much higher in fat than having, let's say, cod. So most of the time people would choose cod over salmon. So you're getting less of those omegas that you actually need. Well, I find it, especially in the diet. Obviously, you can have it, of course, but if your fats are quite low, it will eat a lot of your chunk of your fat for the day. And then also nuts as well, high calories. So you can have them, of course, it's just about fitting them in. But most of the time, if your calories are low in a diet, deemed to a diet, those omegas and fatty acids will not be hit enough. You won't be getting enough. So essentially, that's why that's quite essential to have in terms of hitting the amount that you need per day. And it helps you reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, and essentially helps with your skin and keeping your body in good shape. And then we got zinc and magnesium. So another one I've added in recently as well since starting the diet as well. We've got both of these, and there's lots of properties and benefits to zinc and magnesium as well. So essentially, zinc contributes to normal function of the immune system, keeping it in a good place. That's why it's very beneficial in having zinc. And magnesium helps reduce fatigue and tiredness. So again, very important and helpful, especially again in a diet like I am in a diet, of course. So those two are going to be essential, reducing tiredness and keeping your body in a good, your immune system in a good place as well throughout. Daily is good to take as well, but even more so since I started obviously dieting, because I want to make sure all these things are in check. These small little things over time make a big difference. These 1% or even 0.5% extra bonus will add up over the days and weeks and months. So those are essentially the ones that I take. So these are the ones I choose to take and been taking for quite a while. Again, I'm not saying that you should take these, but I find them beneficial for myself. And there's obviously a lot more you could take as well. There's ashwagandhas, there's EAAs, there's electrolytes, so hydration, there's super greens as well. So all of these have big benefits. Ashwagandha can help you with relaxation. If you're stressed or you've got a lot going on at the end of the day, that's quite helpful to reduce your stress levels and wind you down before you go to bed. Useful, again, if you're quite stressful, you've got a lot going on, struggle to sleep and so on. Electrolytes as well, it's just keeping your body hydrated in a good place so you can function better. So obviously if you're not hydrated, you're not going to feel good for training, you're not going to feel good for most things. So that is key as well. And feeling just awake and not feeling so sluggish and tired all the time, because if you don't have enough water, you're going to feel dehydrated and then tired. So those electrolytes are really going to help you. And the EAAs, remember, not BCAAs. BCAAs are useless. There's lots of studies on them. You don't get enough that's actually going to warrant much from them, from supplements. EAAs, on the other hand, will benefit you, so they can be useful for you to take as well. So EAAs have lots of benefits. They stimulate protein synthesis, building muscle, reducing inflammation, reducing fatigue. So there's lots of benefits there as well, and that's something you can have while you're training most of the time. EAAs would be recommended to have whilst you're training. I think that's what I've used them in the past. I don't currently use them, but I've used them in the past and I found them quite helpful as well. And super greens, again, one that's useful for probably quite a lot of you guys and girls that do not have enough veg and fruit. So I can vouch in the past that I didn't used to have enough. I have much more now, and more so again with dieting, you're going to want more to keep you fuller. As I mentioned in the previous video, more veg, the fuller you're going to be, more volume, right? So super greens is another powder you can have that makes you sure you're going to hit your greens better essentially. So it's just a drink. Ideally have it in the morning. So green sludge essentially, and you just down that, and then you have a good amount of your greens there. So again, you don't want to just have that, you want to have obviously more veg and stuff on the top, on the side. So it's just another one that can top you up again to make your life easier if you find that you're struggling to get all your greens in throughout the day. So these are the ones that I will take, as I mentioned, all these from protein to creatine to caffeine to vitamin D and so on. And the other ones I mentioned at the end, they can be beneficial as well. I currently don't take those ones at the end, but these are the ones I take. But yeah, these are essentially what I've been taking and what I find beneficial for myself, taking for a good while. Obviously you have to do your research at the end of the day. Again, I'm not recommending you to take any supplements. I'm just mentioning what I take and what could be useful for you as well. But at the end of the day, you have to do your research and find out what works best for you. And maybe you don't agree with certain supplements that don't work for you well. For example, a lot of people don't work well with certain caffeine and so on, and stimulants especially, because it has quite a fair amount of impact on the body in terms of energy levels, and it's quite strong for some people. So again, finding out what works best for you. But I hope you enjoyed what I went through, and if there's any questions you have regarding supplementation, I'm more than happy to go through it with you, and we can discuss, see if there's anything that would be beneficial for you, or you find that would, you're not too sure about, or how much of this should I take, or so on. Just drop me a DM on Instagram, or just reply to this video. I'm more than happy to go through it. But that's kind of the things that I take, so and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed the video going for my supplementations. I hope you learned a thing or two, and maybe you'll start using some of these supplements, maybe you find it beneficial for you, maybe not. Totally fine either way. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, drop it a like as always, subscribe, tap the bell notification if you want to see more, and leave a comment about any questions you have, or any queries, or anything else you want to see. And that's all really. Thanks for watching.